Well, hey there, guys. Greetings and salutations, and welcome to our live stream of Open Mic, the show here on the John Campea channel, where we just do exactly that. The mic is yours. What do you guys want to talk about? That's what we're going to discuss here today. And there's two ways you can get topics or questions to us for Open Mic. The first way is if you are watching live, you can use the Super Chat feature. Now, the Super Chat features is open right now, but it's only going to be open for a little while longer, then we're going to shut it down. So you have a question or comment for the show, go ahead and fire it in there. But if you're watching the show when it's not live and you think, I would like to get a question in there, but I can't be around when it's on live, you can send in a question anytime 24/7 to our tip link at streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. Send it on in, and if your question is appropriate to be used on the show, we will read it here on the show. And we're going to get to those questions just a bit. I got Ray joining me here. Of course, Jonathan Voico is back there running the show. And most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. And, before we get rolling in the questions, there was a topic that we discussed today on the John Campea Show podcast. By the way, the podcast is now up. Make sure you're subscribed to our podcast feeds. We hit number 16 and number 17 on Apple Podcasts and Spotify Podcasts. We've never been on the Spotify podcast chart before, and suddenly we were number 17. Anyway, make sure you go and subscribe to our podcast on whatever podcasting app you use. But on the John Campea Show podcast a little bit earlier today, we talked about this, which I really think is interesting. So CW, we all know they've gone through a lot of changes. They've got new ownership now. They've been canceling a lot of their shows. But as of right now, CW, no longer with their new lineup, has any superhero shows. And this is the first time that has been the case since Smallville was on TV. No superhero shows since the time of Smallville. Now, me and Chris and Ray and Jonathan earlier today on the podcast, we were discussing is this really a byproduct of the fact of all the changes to CW? There's probably a lot of that. Is this a byproduct of the fact that for so long we have had so many superhero shows on TV? Like it felt like for a while, every other new TV show that was coming out was a superhero based kind of TV show. Thought maybe that. One of the thoughts that I had was, I wonder if part of this is the production value. Because, when Arrow and Flash first started, they looked cheap, yes, but we understood it's CW, it's on TV, they're not going to have movie budgets. But then all of a sudden stuff like, Disney Plus came along and they were putting up WandaVision and Loki shows with big stars and big production budgets. And all of a sudden now we watch one of those episodes and then we go back over and watch an episode in CW and go, wow, now it really feels kind of cheap. It's like when your girlfriend is dating you and thinks you're a handsome guy, but then she meets a much better looking guy and now suddenly you don't look so good. Not that I have any experience with that. Not saying that at all.
Look, when it was even the highest of the high, when you guys were doing after shows like the Arrow after show and stuff like that, for me to think about they never made money, it didn't make money. It just wasn't meant to be for these hero shows.
Well, it wasn't just these shows, it's that CW never made money.
Yeah.
CW has never had a year where it turned profit.
Right.
Listen, it's expensive to run a television network. Right. Even no matter how cheap you try to make these shows, it's expensive to run a television network.
And didn't you mention that even in the Flash, like was it our show that you were saying, or some show on YouTube was beating the Flash numbers?
No,
or some numbers or something.
It was Arrow. I remember that was back in the day.
Yeah.
I remember back in the day. I think it might have been when we were still doing movie talk back in the day. I said, look, you got to keep in perspective that while a lot of us talk about the Arrowverse shows, relatively speaking, not many people actually watch them. I said, put this in context. More people watch movie talk every month than watch Arrow. Now, granted, Arrow was on 4 times a month, and we had movie talk on 25 times a month. Plus, and you added all those up. Granted.
We'll take it.
It's a lot of asterisks, a lot of asterisks on that little thing.
We'll take it anyways.
But still to this moment, I just wonder. What has led us to this point where you had CW that was it had a gluttony of superhero shows. And by the way, these events, These annual crossover events that they used to do, other than their Crisis on Infinite Earth ones that absolutely licked balls, like that was awful. That was awful. Other than that one, I loved every year I would look forward to their big crossover events. I think Crisis on Earth X might have been my favorite one, but I even loved it when it was just Flash and Arrow. I loved those crossovers, but it's a new era. Mm-hmm. As we said earlier, it's a new day. Maybe you guys have some thoughts on that, and you can fire in a question or a comment about it. Whatever you guys think, jump on down below and leave your thought there. All right. With that down, let's get now on to what we're really here for, which is to open the mic up to you guys. What do you guys have to say and talk about? We're going to start off with the tip questions that people send in when the show's not live. So, Jonathan, what do we got up here?
First off, we've got Anonymous who says, I am not excited for Fast X. Buddy, you and me both. Due to the series becoming way too ridiculous, starting with 8. With that said, I actually consider Fast 5, Fast and Furious 6, Furious 7 to be one of my favorite action movie trilogies ever. It pains me it's fallen.
Wait a sec. Did you say it started getting ridiculous with 8? Really? Started with 8? Come on. I happen to remember a movie where they're pulling a safe through the streets. That was just the laws of physics. This is impossible. That could never happen. But you're right. Like 9 really took it to the next level with absolute ridiculousness. Look, if you had asked me prior to the trailers coming out, are you looking forward to Fast 10? I think I did say on the show, not really. I mean, I love the Fast and Furious franchise, but I hated 9 that much. And not just because it was a bad movie, but because they showed that they went right off the pier. Like they were gone. They had no respect any longer for the laws of physics, man or God. And it was just gone. Like once they went into outer space, I was just like, I know they try to do it as a fun fan service thing, but to me it was like, okay, I mentally checked out. But then I saw the trailers for Fast 10. And maybe I'm alone. I love the trailers to Fast 10. I think it looks so much fun.
I keep thinking about how this started off as just a regular illegal street race movie.
That's it.
And now they don't even race. They just do.
Well,
they just get chased.
It
I
wasn't
guess.
just that. Like they also were like robbing trucks in a
Right.
very inconvenient way. Like drive your lowered imports all around a truck and shoot like wires into the truck and then crawl out to the truck and then make the truck stop. Like there's more efficient ways of robbing a truck.
Yeah.
And now they're superheroes.
Yeah.
You know what? Honestly, the path of Fast and Furious is not unlike the path of Riverdale. It started off kind of as one thing, and then there's superpowers and the laws of nature being broken. And
The very first Fast and Furious, it was just cool to see the car I was driving at the time fixed up. Like, let's say, you know what I
was
mean?
that?
That was the pull.
It was an Integra.
an Acura Integra.
Oh, I had an Integra too.
Yeah, like a 2000, the year 2000.
Okay.
I had a
yeah,
black
then
one.
I drove it for a while.
Yeah. But no. We had a black one before that.
Oh, okay, right. Then
We
I took the
actually
silver
had
one.
a bunch of Integras. Like my dad loved Integras. We had a green one, a black one, and the silver one. The black one was my favorite. When my dad sold it, I didn't talk to him for a week, and I feel so bad for now. But I didn't talk to him I was so mad.
All right. What's next?
Okay, we've got Eladrian who writes, "Hey John, I'm going to an early screening for The Flash this Monday at 7 p.m.
Nice.
And I've never been to one of these before. Seating is first come first serve. So how early should I get there to get a good seat? Do seats run out? Thanks."
Yep. If you're going one of these, like, it may not be specifically GoFobo, but if it's like GoFobo or one of those types of screenings, they overcommit. They purposely overcommit because they want it to be a full theater. That's why you'll see in your confirmation that seats are not guaranteed. I would recommend going
Leave now.
this. Yeah.
Leave now, man. If you're not on the road,
If you're not typing this
now.
on the road right now,
especially for this movie, come on.
you're going to want to be there 2 hours early. And you're not going to be at the front of the line, but I think to make sure you're not just getting the last couple of seats,
Yeah.
I'd say get there about 2 hours early, and you should be okay. And if you can get there a little bit earlier than that, get there a little bit earlier than that. But
a nap
and
at
hope
the
it's
seat.
not raining. Yeah. All right. What's next?
All right. We've got Roy who writes, "I feel the same way about Mission Impossible like you do about the Flash and or the Fast and Furious franchise. Like like the first one, but the 2 and 3 were no bueno. And then it started getting better with Ghost Protocol and so on. Can't wait for Dead Reckoning.
I'm kind of with you there. I was not a fan of the Mission Impossible franchise. I wasn't a big fan of number 1. I didn't like number 2. It was number 3 that I kind of went, all right, I think that's the one is that the one J.J. Abrams directed? Number 3? I can't remember.
That'll have to look up.
But I think it was number 3 that I kind of went, all right. And then 4, that's just when it started to get really, really good. And now I love it. And now it's like must watch movies. And I'll tell you what, guys, we saw like a good 15 plus minutes of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. That was the one with J.J.
Yeah, it had
Abrams?
Philip Seymour Hoffman was the bad guy.
That's right. He was great in that. This movie looks legit. It looks really, really good, and I cannot wait to watch it. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Roy back again. I have an idea for John Wick if they decide to move forward with a 5th installment. How about going back to the beginning of what he had to do to get out the first time? The impossible task he had to perform that was mentioned in the first movie. What do you think?
No, I don't like prequels. I don't want to. I don't need to go backwards and retell stories.
Yeah.
But John, you said you're looking forward to the Continental. Yeah, because it's a totally different set of stories. It's not like, let's go back a couple years. No, this is going back to when, what's the hotel manager's name again? Winston. Going back to when Winston was a young man. These are going to be totally new stories and stuff like that. But other than that, I'm not really big into the prequels.
And we got Ballerina coming up.
We got Ballerina coming up too.
Turns out that
apparently Keanu Reeves makes an appearance in.
Yeah, so
it's going to be fun. All right, what's next?
All right, we got one from Amin here. Next month is the 10th anniversary of Man of Steel, which also means it will be 10 years since I've been watching you, John.
Wow.
A lot of us came from the AMC Spoiler Talk vid. I'll continue to support you because I enjoy listening to you talk about movies.
Yeah, I mean, it is crazy even up to this day, how many people tell me that I started watching you with the Man of Steel Man of Steel right out of theater movie review that you guys did. And it's nuts that was the one, and John Schnepp did that one with me. It is crazy how much from that one, because that's not even the most popular movie we ever reviewed by a mile. And yet that's one that people keep referring to.
Yeah,
it's really, really funny.
time,
That's how
yeah.
people found us. All right, what's next?
All right. Amin is back. I hope this new format change will really help your work-life balance. Glad to hear you'll have more time in your day. Hope you always continue to talk movies. Thank you for everything you do, and I hope you plan something big for the Man of Steel 10th anniversary.
I haven't even really. When is the specific? What was the release date?
I'll look it up.
Of that. Here's the funny thing about this. I've talked about this before. Like, I am at the point now that I could honestly. My plan is to retire sometime in 2025, maybe 2026, right? That's the plan. But I mean, it could go longer, could be shorter. But at the same time, like I could wake up tomorrow and just go, you know what? I want to go do this. I just want to go do this other thing now. But I may or may, I mean, who knows? Like every day is different and every day is new. So, see, what was the release
June
date?
14th is what I got.
When?
June 14th.
Oh my God. I should do something special for the release of Man of Steel for the 10th anniversary. Cause everybody knows I love that movie so much. All right. What's next?
Okay. Amin says, I hope this, no, wait, we just read that one. Amin is here again. Oh, and thank you for getting my name right. It never bothered me, but I appreciate it a lot. You're the man, Ray. Thank you.
I got you, man. I got you.
Yeah. Cause for the longest,
We're saying
Amin has been a viewer and a
Amin.
commenter on the show like forever, and I always just pronounce it phonetically. It's just been saying Amin. But then you told me the other day it's actually pronounced Amin.
Yeah, because I had a friend in elementary school. He had the same name, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, well there we go. All right, what's next?
All right. Boomstick Beth writes.
What a great name.
If they ever teach a class on how to needle drop, Yellow Jackets should be the textbook. Granted, last week they used lightning crashes. As fellow 90s folks, don't you agree we need a warning before that song so we can brace for that many feels? Best show on TV.
Since I haven't seen what you're talking about, I can't give any commentary on that. Yellow Jackets season 1 was really quite good. I don't think the best show on TV, but really, really quite good. I'm not up to date on the new season or anything like that, so I can't really give any commentary. But I mean, when you look at the cast is so beautifully put together. It's clearly done. It's like a spiritual great grandchild of Lost. in some ways, the way the show's put together. And yeah, it's just really an exceptional show. If you haven't checked it out, give it a try. You might like it. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Dwarfer UK who writes, "Hey John, Ant-Man 3 should have been split into 2 parts like Infinity War and Endgame. Kane getting out, leaving Scott, Cassie, Janet, and Hank left stuck in the quantum realm. Thoughts?"
Nope. Then you just would have had 2 bad movies. The problem with Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, it was not rushed. That movie, that wasn't the problem. The problem wasn't that it was rushed or anything like that. It was just bad movie, bad story. They shouldn't have gone there in the first place. So no, I am very grateful that they did not split that into 2 movies. It just would have prolonged the agony. So that's my take on it at any rate. All right, what's next?
All right, Chloe Fanning writes, "With movies like Fast X, more than likely the cars was given to them for promotion use, but while filming The Dukes of Hazzard in the 70s, they had to use 3 Chargers a day at a total cost around $2 million. Wow. Today, that would be over $45 million for the cars."
I mean, but how often did they have to go through 3 cars? That's like if they had to use three cars for a season, okay, yeah, there you go. If you had to use 3 cars an episode, well then, yeah, that would get real expensive.
That's 3 more Dodge Chargers than I have. So
I mean, what was the model of the General Lee? I don't even know. Like I know the General Lee like the back of my hand, but I don't know. Like I'm not a car guy. I don't know what the actual make of the car
thought they
was.
just said it was a Dodge Charger.
Is that what the actual make was? Dodge Charger? I
so.
have no
Looks
idea.
The same, except it was orange, obviously. Yeah, 69 Dodge Charger.
69 Dodge Charger.
Ooh, that's good info.
All right, what's next?
All right, Harry has one of 2 here. RE, the user question from the other day, "We Own This City" is not a sequel to The Wire. It is based on an infamous police corruption case that took place in Baltimore a decade ago. It's from the creators of The Wire. It stars John Bernthal. The series also features a really tall guy playing a side character who I immediately saw and said, this guy's going to be a big star one day. That guy was none other than David Cornswet,
Who they're talking about maybe playing Superman.
who is the apparent front runner to play Superman.
That's interesting. Well, obviously the guys who produced The Wire love Baltimore. If they keep going back to Baltimore. Again, I haven't seen a single episode, but now that I know that it's actually by the guys who made The Wire, which again, not myself, but a lot of TV fanatics will tell you The Wire is probably the best TV show ever made. I don't think it's the best, but it's certainly fantastic. Now that I know they're the ones making it and John Bernthal's in, I really want to give it a try. But it's so funny because till somebody brought it up on the show the other day, I'd never even heard of it.
Yeah. We usually hear everything about what John Bernthal's doing.
We keep very close.
You're a big fan of his.
We keep very
we've
close
talked
eye on
about
what John
this.
Bernthal's doing.
Yeah, and wow, the story was 10 years ago. That's fairly recent for having a full-blown show about it. I mean,
It's a good show,
I
good
think.
story.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got Bleach74820 who writes, "Hey John, just want to say sorry for the way I and others initially reacted to the change. I don't think I said anything malicious, but I definitely was negative about it. And I just wanted to show my support and say, I'm not jumping ship. You're an inspiration."
Oh, thank you, Bleach. I appreciate that. And yeah, well, look, we made some changes to the format of the show. I listen, I'll be honest with you. I think it's kind of preposterous the way some people make it out to be like the world changed on its axis. It's like there was a video show that we did that's now an audio show.
That's it, really.
But at any rate,
Yeah.
And look, part of the big thing is making changes based on what is best for the show and best for me personally, right? Because again, like I try to explain in the post I put up, that when it's just a matter of the sheer number of man hours and how much energy and effort and resources went into making that show as a live video show, which was the best of its kind online. Nobody else in the movie space was doing anything like that.
Yep.
Because they're not stupid enough to even try. And we were stupid enough to do it every day for that many. It just wasn't practical, especially with YouTube deprioritizing live video and deprioritizing long video and putting all of their energy and emphasis on short video and shorts. So then it became, you really had to ask myself the question, like, killing ourselves trying to get this show up, ready, and be a live show every single day, is it worth it? And
Running uphill.
What's that?
It's running uphill.
Yeah, it's like seriously running uphill. And I get it. Like, people don't like change to their morning coffee. I get
mean,
it. But
look, open up your YouTube app. The first 3 rows, 2 of them are full of shorts. I mean, the thing is changing. I mean, and I can't blame you
and
for
that's part of the reason. Like, I've had a lot of like consultants or whatever saying that been telling me for well over a year that we've needed to put more emphasis on podcast and go move more over to audio. It's an industry that's grown by like $1.8 trillion. I mean, it's crazy. And by the way, again, a big thank you to everybody who already jumped over and subscribed to a podcast feed. Because like I said, the fact that we came out, basically debuted at number 17 and number 16 on Apple Podcasts and Spotify is amazing.
Big.
So thank you so much to everybody who's already done that. I mean, I don't expect we'll stay in those spots because
but
like,
it's just
once
nice to
that big
know.
influx of people
nice
goes
to
in
know.
there, but it's super nice. So thank you to everybody for that. All right, what's next?
Let's see. We've got last tip here. David Zaslav. Wow, thanks, man.
wow.
Oh, wait, shh, quiet down.
right.
David's
David.
talking.
He's
Yeah,
pulling
I've
out
got
the
a-
axe.
Got
The
an image
Maxophone.
for you here.
Maxophone.
I should have shelved it and taken a loss on all the DC movies we released this year, except Flash. We could have gone from the Batman to Flash to Superman. Two big wins leading into new DCU with momentum. Failed recent films has continued to hurt the brand.
It has.
Yes.
And that which only leads to me to again ponder just how bad was Batgirl. Now, look, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson starring in Black Adam, that's something they've been building for 15 years. There's no way. I mean, he literally could have watched that movie and thought it was as bad as Batgirl, but you got to put that one out. I mean, that's the biggest movie star in the world. They've been pumping up this thing for, like, again, the first stories of Dwayne Johnson boarding that project was like 15 years ago. That one had to come out. Shazam, I don't care what anybody says. I like Shazam 2. Not as much as
I do
Shazam
too.
1, but I like Shazam 2. But again, the brand has been battered and beaten so badly. Ain't nobody. That movie didn't even make $200 million. Black Adam didn't even make $4 million. I mean, so, and yeah, if they had released Batgirl, it would have even driven it into the toilet even more. So, man,
Might as well should have just combined those two movies, Shazam and Black Adam, like Rock didn't.
yeah, but Rock didn't want to do that. And listen, again, you got to understand that these are all things that David Zaslav and the new ownership of Warner Brothers inherited. They inherited that. Like, they didn't create that, they inherited it. Everything that's coming out now is stuff that they inherited. And it's not going to be until Superman Legacy comes out that we really get to see what their version of the DC moving forward is going to be.
Blue Beetle will be interesting to see how that one is too.
Yeah,
Just
I mean,
before-
again, that's one that they
Right,
inherited.
right, but it'll be interesting.
But they're the ones who made, David Zaslav was the one who made the decision, because remember, Blue Beetle was supposed to go straight to HBO Max. And it was David Zaslav, after they took over, they looked at the film and said, we think this is good enough to be a theatrical release. And so they're putting that out in theaters. So that's good. But again, it's a movie they inherited. And just like Flash is a great movie.
It's a good movie.
They don't get any credit for that, right? Like I'm saying, you can't blame them for what happened with Shazam or Black Adam or any of that kind of stuff. But they also don't get any credit for Shazam, for Flash, because that is something they inherited as well. It's when Superman Legacy comes around that we're going to see what the real new DC looks like. All right. That was it for the tipped in questions?
Yeah.
All right, let's move over to the super chats then.
All right. Do you want to do a break or do you want to just go right into super?
Ooh, that's a good question. You know what? Yes, before we get to the live questions, we're going to take a second and thank the sponsors of Open Mic today, our friends at ExpressVPN and my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of this video, ExpressVPN. Guys, it is 2023, and online privacy and security has never been more important. You see, every device, phones, computers, tablets, has a unique IP address, which is like an internet phone number and reveals personal information about you. It's super simple for somebody online who knows what they're doing to find your IP address if you've ever clicked on a sketchy link or opened an email from somebody you don't know. Your IP address could become exposed. Now that's where ExpressVPN has your back. ExpressVPN is an app that hides your real IP address and replaces it with a dummy one, keeping you safe and private. And you don't have to be some kind of techie to use a VPN. Guys, it is so easy to use. Just download the ExpressVPN app on your phone or computer, tap one button to turn it on, and you're protected. And if you like your streaming entertainment, here's the coolest part. They let you choose what country you want your IP address to look like it's coming from. This is incredibly useful because services like Netflix and Disney Plus give you different shows depending on what what country you're in. So secure your family's online activity and unlock tons of new shows by visiting expressvpn.com/Campea. Use my link and you can get 3 extra months free. That's expressvpn.com/Campea. Go to expressvpn.com/Campea to learn more. We want to thank a sponsor of this video, Mint Mobile. From the gas pump to the grocery store, your utility bills and favorite streaming services, inflation is everywhere. Seriously, make it stop. Thankfully, there's one company out there that's giving you a much needed break. It's Mint Mobile. As the first company to sell premium wireless service online only, Mint Mobile lets you order from home and save a ton with phone plans starting at just $15 a month. You guys know that ever since I switched to Mint Mobile, I've been saving almost 70% a month over my old phone plan. For people looking for extra savings this year, Mint Mobile offers premium wireless for just $15 a month. By going online only and eliminating the traditional cost of retail, Mint Mobile passes the significant savings on to you. All of their plans come with unlimited talk and text plus high-speed data delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. Use your own phone with any Mint Mobile plan and keep your same phone number along with all your existing contacts. Switch to Mint Mobile and get premium wireless service starting at just $15 a month. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month and get the plan shipped to your door for free, go to mintmobile.com/Campea. That's mintmobile.com/Campea. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/Campea. And thank you to our friends at ExpressVPN and, of course, my mobile service provider, Mint Mobile, for sponsoring this episode of Open Mic. All right, guys, with that down, let's get over to your live questions that you guys who are here right now in the live chat have been sending in via the super chats. Unfortunately, we have shut down. I begged Jonathan to leave them open. He said, no, I hate these people. We're going to shut it down right now. But that's Jonathan for you. So unfortunately, the super chats are closed, but let's get to the ones that you guys fired in. What do we got?
If we must. Jesse has the turtle writes, have you had a movie that made you tap out and stop watching? Not because it's bad, but because it might have been too scary or disturbing or sad?
No. I've only tapped out. I can only think of 4 or 5 movies in my life that I've ever walked out of. But it's always been a quality issue. Well, I mean, no, actually, one of the ones that I walked out of, I mean, there was movie 23. Was that the name of it? Movie 20.
Oh, man.
Or
yeah.
movie 60. No, not the number 23, but like the movie 63, the one with had like 85 stars. And
it was
all
like a new take on Kentucky Fried Movie.
Yeah, it was all comedy sketches throughout it, right? It was so bad. I walked out of that one. I walked out of the Jennifer Connelly movie Dark Water. Just because it was so bad. One of the films.
You thought that was bad? I thought that was okay.
I didn't like that one. I wish
with
I did.
With the elevator and like it was about the apartment or the hotel, right?
Something like that. Yeah. All I remember is that there was dark water. I didn't dig it. It was a while ago. But is Johnny Knoxville's
Benchwarmers thing?
No, The Ringer.
The Ringer. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, about Special Olympians.
Oh, right.
And again,
it was poorly executed.
Yeah, I totally understood that they meant it with the best of intentions. They were trying to make it for like the Special Olympics community and for people. Like there was not a mean bone in their body. It just came across like it was though, right? Like I was watching that movie and I just felt uncomfortable because even though I know they were trying to laugh with them, not laugh at them, it was hitting me like they were laughing at them. And even though mentally I knew they weren't, it made me feel so uncomfortable that I left. So maybe that is one example of that. I felt so uncomfortable with it that it kind of made me leave. But that's the only one I can really think of. All right, what's next?
All right. We've got Azaz back. Fast X was entertaining, but okay. Momoa was great.
Yeah, we're starting to hear, there were some more advanced screenings. I'm hearing from some people that they thought it was all right. Actually, okay. There were a few people who told me it was total garbage, but I've heard from some people that actually had a really good time. So, I mean, and that's right around, right? Because the critics score is a little over 50%, which means half are liking it, half aren't. So I'm not surprised to hear that probably be the audience response too. We'll find out. All right, what's next?
For a show that none of us watch, we sure average about talking about this show a lot. The Empire Strikes Backstreet Boys says, hi, John. The Riverdale episode that you said you're trying to find on Open Mic yesterday is season 6, episode 14, titled Venomous, where Betty lets Archer bang Veronica while Betty probably watches.
And you know, there you go. That's probably the best advertising that you're going to do for that show to get people who are normally would not be interested in this whatsoever to want to go and check it out. But yep. I mean, and it was all based on superpowers. And she watched?
This is a Sunday comic.
This is the Archie comics.
I can't believe they are doing this. All right.
Hi, I'm Jughead. I'd like a hamburger and to bang your girlfriend. That's Riverdale, ladies and gentlemen. All right,
Jughead.
what's next?
Chris Hunt writes, saw Guardians before rewatching Quantum Mania, aka Volume. The movie and Carrot Guy is greater than Broccoli Guy. Oh, Carrot Guy made me laugh.
Yeah, I got a buddy of mine actually who, like when Mandalorian first came out, the Volume, everybody was enamored. Understandably so. It's an incredible technology, the Volume. And everybody was totally enamored with this will change everything. And a buddy of mine was one of those people, but now my buddy hates the Volume, like hates it. And he was sending me screenshots too about here, you can literally see where the Volume hits the edge of the floor. And then there's a right angle for the floor. Like you could literally see it in there. And it's like, yeah, they probably came, like everybody got so enamored with it that they probably got over reliant on it. And now you're just, even Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, you could tell like part of it was like they just planned certain scenes because we've got the Volume. So we can do these scenes, right? And maybe that's affecting them a little bit too much. Again, it's incredible technology that if you use it the right way, like any other tool, it's amazing what it can do. But if you just then take it and use it to do everything.
You don't believe anything is existing beyond the foreground.
Yeah. All right, what's next?
My Comic Planet writes, one of two from a reliable source regarding Majors said, it appears there's an order on promotional articles from Disney regarding the arrival of Quantumania on Disney+. Under no circumstances is any article allowed to mention Jonathan Majors or his involvement in the film as Kang. Yikes.
Okay, so first of all, studios get zero say in what one of the trades writes about in their stuff. If a magazine, if the Hollywood Reporter, if Variety, if whatever, Disney gets no say in what they write. They can write an article and they can put Jonathan Majors in every third word. I was Jonathan Majors, going to Jonathan Majors, McDonald's for Jonathan Majors, a Super Sunday Jonathan Majors. They can do that if they want. Disney's got zero say. But what Disney does have control over is what information they put out in a press release, right?
Which is what he's speaking of, right?
Right. So they can put out a press release and all this kind of stuff. Now, it was interesting to see that, like when Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania was coming to home video, Jonathan Majors and Kang were mentioned, but it was like as the last little bit of information in it. They talked about all this other stuff, whereas the marketing for Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, when the movie was coming out, you had Jonathan Majors all over that marketing, right? Now minimized, and then so much so now that when they put out their press release about the cast of the upcoming second season of Loki, they didn't even mention Jonathan Majors. And granted, maybe that doesn't mean anything because maybe he's in like one episode. But when Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania does their post-credit scene, and it's Tom Hiddleston, and it's Owen Wilson, and it's Jonathan Majors, you figure he's probably a pretty important figure in Loki season 2, but maybe not. We'll find out. All right, what's next?
All right, My Comic Planet also writes, boy, just when I thought today was going to be a slow news day, Disney says, hold my beer. No more Star Wars Galactic Star Cruiser, and they canceled 1B Orlando development. Wow, what do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, we'll talk about some of this on the John Campea Show podcast tomorrow and maybe do a video about it. But yeah, that's Star Wars. Now, you know me, I'm all about everything Star Wars. But wasn't it like $5,000 a night or something like that?
I've watched videos of people staying on it. It just seems
and it didn't even look all that good.
It just seemed like okay.
Like for $5,000 a night, I'm going to need 2 room attendants dressed as Slave Leia, serving me cocktails and tossing grapes in my mouth. I mean, I never once even pondered going to stay in that hotel. Never once. Anne brought it up once. I mentioned the price to her and she goes, never mind.
You better be coming home with an R2-D2 of your own. Like a real life-size one.
No. The real R2-D2.
Oh, come on.
I better be coming home
There's only one.
with Kenny Baker still inside operating the thing. Like It's just nuts. So 2 years in, and they closed the whole thing down. Not a surprise that nobody was going to be going to that.
No one looked happy whenever I saw videos
No.
of like inside. Everyone's just like, we spent $5,000 for this.
It didn't even look like it was fun.
You
Yeah.
put something like that in Abu Dhabi where people spend money, like ridiculous amounts of money or something.
Yeah, maybe there.
Yeah, but
Now,
not in
but
Florida.
then the big thing is, Bob Iger, you know, he said, hey, you know, Ron DeSantis, you want to keep retaliating against us for saying we don't like a law, which, by the way, is the right of everybody in this country to just say you like a law or don't like a law. And Ron DeSantis decided to use his political power to retaliate against Disney for it, to try to score political points with his base. And, you know, Big Papa Iger said, hey, you know, we're the biggest taxpayer in this state, and we're the biggest employer in this state, and we're the biggest investor in this state. You want us to go somewhere else? So I guess I just saw in the news what he's talking about here. Disney fired their first salvo. They just canceled a $1 billion project in Florida that, according to the article, was going to create 2,000 new jobs in Florida at an average salary of $120,000 a year. 2,000 jobs of $120,000 a year salary. Not to mention, they said that this facility that they're going to bake was going to ultimately bring in like $5 billion into the state and all that kind of stuff. And apparently today they canceled it.
They're trying to make room for that Hulu purchase.
Yeah, that's for the big Hulu purchase.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if you want to get into a dick swinging competition, don't do it against
Yeah.
Big Papa Iger. I mean, it's just not a good idea. And
And more jobs is always good for, everybody.
high paying jobs. It's not just like we're going to create 2,000 minimum wage jobs, 5 or 2,000 jobs averaging $120,000. Anyway, look,
jobs, it's just good.
I'm not real versed
Right.
in the economic infrastructure plans at Disney and all that kind of stuff. And in many ways right now, I'm kind of in a fuck Disney kind of mood, as I've been in for the last year or
And
two.
I'm like, I love you, Disney. Come on, let me see Star Wars Galaxy one time.
But
Come on.
I am not. I don't care who you are. You think you're big? Don't get into a dick swinging competition with Big Papa Iger. You will lose every time. But anyway, all right, what's next?
We've got Mr. Godzilla. Hey, John, would you like to see Marvel do something with the Savage Land with, say, Moon Boy and Devil Dinosaur? And if so, as a film special like Werewolf by Night, or a series like, say, Loki?
I don't necessarily want them to do it, but I mean, look, I always come back to this. They made a movie called The Lego Movie about square plastic building blocks. You can take any premise from the comics, any character from the comics, and if you write a great script around it, it'll be great. I don't care if it's Squirrel Girl. I don't care if it's Star-Lord. I don't care if it's Iron Man. If you write a great script and come up with a great story, it really... People don't like it when I say this, but the longer the genre goes, I'm more and more convinced of all the time, it makes zero difference which comic book character and which comic book story you take. It makes no difference. If you write it well and do great. And I always go back to this one too. If you go into any conversation with any comic book fan and ask, name the top 5 greatest villains in comic book history, everybody will have Doctor Doom somewhere on that list. They did 3 movies with Doctor Doom, made no difference. They were all terrible. It doesn't matter that you got the greatest villain or one of the greatest villains in comic book history, right? Doesn't matter. If you're not going to write a great script, it's not going to save it. If you do write a great script, it doesn't matter if you do, like I said, Squirrel Girl, Guardians of the Galaxy, doesn't matter. So yeah, that premise, is that the premise I would go with if I was a producer? No, but you can do it. And if you write it great, it could be the next Guardians of the Galaxy.
He said dinosaur. I said yes.
Yeah, as soon as you say dinosaur, I say yes. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got My Comic Planet, who writes, they just showed the premiere of Indiana Jones at Cannes, or the Cannes, I can never remember. And Harrison Ford was moved to tears as the crowd gave him a standing ovation. I wonder if there will be any reactions to the movie leaked.
Well, yeah, it's not leaked. Cannes is a public film festival. People can go to it. You cannot even ask people to sign NDAs at that. So yeah, you're going to start seeing reviews. coming out, and you're going to see reactions. Was that today? Did that happen?
I don't know, but showing your film in Cannes, what does that say? Does that say anything?
It's a
to
film
the general
festival,
public?
and it's like a prestigious.
So there's bad movies and good movies that go to Cannes, or is it usually good?
It's usually good
what
movies,
people feel
usually.
but
is a good
sometimes they also take like really risky auteur. So there have been stories of like, look, the French film fans can be very, very harsh. So there have been stories out of the Cannes Film Festival too of like a movie playing and like literally people standing up and booing as the movie was going on. So them playing it there showed a lot of confidence in the film, and I'll be very, very curious to start hearing the reactions coming out of it.
Okay.
All right, what's next?
All right. Sam Fisher brings us a two-parter. I think the way you do Link is you write him as the monosyllabic, strong silent type who prefers action over words, or you write him as a character who everyone sort of always says what he's already thinking, so he never really has anything else to add. Well, okay, that's convenient. Probably the first option.
I disagree. No, I don't agree at all. I think you have the character, you make him a real character. You flesh out the character. You give him real depth of personality, real depth of emotion, all that kind of real stuff. You know, as I was playing through Breath of the Wild again, the game implies he's talking to people. Like, what's that you say? You're going up to the hill. Like, it's so, if you're going to do a movie version, then do a movie, right? Do a movie.
But remember that movie, Faster, with The Rock?
Yes.
He didn't say a single word in there. Or
Yes,
barely.
he did.
He barely
Yeah,
talked
not a lot of dialogue, right?
It was just a lot of music. Can you see a Link movie doing the same thing?
No, there's too much
Where,
story.
like the boss, the villain is more the talkative one, and you just want to see Link get to that villain.
Nah, that would be boring. I'd play the game.
Yeah?
then. I'd just play the video.
I
wouldn't
want to
mind
get
it. I don't
invested in
think-
your
true.
protagonist, right? I want to get invested in the protagonist, and I mean, and playing a video game is one thing. Watching a movie is another thing, and I think it would turn a lot of the general movie-going audience off if you try to bring that in. But hey, listen. There are some creative people out there who might be able to come with creative workarounds, maybe. But I say, yes, make him speak. Anyway. All right, what's next?
All right, CJ Rebirth writes, I found out my equivalent to Hot Toys, celeb autographs. I'm going to a con in Ontario this Saturday, and I'm already like, okay, whose 8x10 am I going to get?
Is there a part two?
No, this is CJ Rebirth. We already did Sam Fisher.
Yeah, listen, I'll tell you what. Whenever there's a convention of any kind, Anne immediately pulls up who's doing autographs. And she starts to think, okay, what's my budget? And then, okay, within that budget, whose autographs can I get? I can either get this person's, this person's, this person's, and this person's autograph, or I can get this person's autograph and only that person's autograph because it's like $250. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people love going and get that stuff. Listen, I every once in a while do too. I've done actually. You and me, we went to go meet Giancarlo Esposito.
Oh yeah, with it. But
Right.
like for recently, his is getting celeb autographs. Mine at cons has been just getting the little limited edition pins. Whatever I find.
Yeah,
that's
you've
cool.
been really getting
I had like a
into
rice
those.
cooker one and things like that. I think it's because the amount of money I have is not that much, so I just go for the smaller things now.
Dude, I know how much
I
money
know.
you make.
I know, but remember my foot.
Yes, I remember your foot. I do remember your
yeah,
foot.
let's move on.
All right, what's next?
All right. The movie canon writes, not sure if this was answered already, but have you announced the sponsorship winner yet, or has it been canceled?
No to both of those questions. We have not announced the winner. I only just recently started going through the applications that Ray and Jonathan first went through and then passed on a bunch to me. And I've only started the process of going through this now. We've been kind of busy around here, so you got to forgive us. So no, we have not made any announcements. And by the way, we may not make an announcement. Like I've already been told, I had one person write to me who was one of the applicants and just said, like, have you done the announcement? I'm like, no. And they're like, if I am lucky enough that you pick me, I don't want it to be announced because I get the sponsorship and it doesn't work, I don't want to be embarrassed. I'm like, okay, I get that. So we will pick our recipient. I will then confer with the recipient to find out if they're cool with their it becoming public knowledge who they are. I got to imagine most of them would because they like the free publicity. But once we do, I will let people know.
Me and Jonathan had a hell of a time trying to narrow those things down.
'Cause
There's
there's
a
like
lot of
100
very
of
good
them.
submissions.
Yeah.
I applaud all of you.
All right, what's next?
Okay, we've got Sam Fisher who writes, are the writers on network news programs not part of the WGA? Are they considered reporters?
Yeah, I don't think writers on news are
Yeah, I
considered
don't think so.
WGA writers. No. So that's a different thing altogether. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Arun Baburaj. Thank you for doing. Thank you for doing what you do, I guess is what he's saying there. I have learned a lot from you following from 2009.
Wow.
Well, yeah. You need to have work-life balance. Take care, and thank you for sharing.
Oh, thank you for that, man. I
a
appreciate it.
long
Since
time.
2009. That's 14 years.
I got
That's
started
movie
working
blog days, I think.
2012.
What's that?
With me and you, I started.
That's when you
doing
started
stuff
working
in
with me?
2012.
2012?
So he's been before.
Oh, he's more loyal.
I mean, that's before I came. That's right. I was still doing the movie blog.
Yeah.
Yeah, back in 2009. Yeah, so that's really going back. Like you thought Man of Steel thing was a long time ago. That's going back to the movie blog days. All right, what's next?
All right, Arun is back, who writes, "Hey John, on the writer's strike, can they not write personally? This way, they can meet the deadline for the studio once the strike is over. Sorry, I'm completely ignorant to the process. No, I don't
Okay,
think they
so
can do that.
here's what writers can do. Let's say I'm a writer, right? And the WG is on strike. Okay. Hey, I've got some stuff I want to write for myself. It's not about whether you can write or not write. It's about, can you do work for your employers? And the answer to that is no. Like, if I've got an idea for a script like I want to write, and I'm not doing it for anybody else, and I want to write my script and whatever, and then maybe someday after the strike's over, I'll go to a studio and pitch my script or whatever. Yeah, I can do that. But if I'm currently working on, say, a TV show, right? What I cannot do is, you know what, I'll just write for the TV show on my personal time. And then when the strike is over, then I'll give those scripts. Because no, then what you're doing is you are doing work that is for your employer. And that you cannot do. You can write some personal projects that are just yours but you cannot do any work that is ultimately for the benefit of your employer. That's what a strike is. So no, they can't do that. All right, what's next?
All right, we've got a few from John Redcorn. The first one up: how much does FastX need to break even on a $340 million budget and $100 million on ads? And do you think it will break even?
By the way, I've seen a lot of people throw that number around. I have not seen any verified number that says the budget on FastX was $340 million. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I have not seen any verified information that's saying that it is.
For the sake of the question.
For the sake of the question,
Yeah.
though, theoretically speaking, if FastX cost $340 million, and if the marketing budget was, say, $100 million, I have a feeling for a project this size, well, I haven't seen a whole ton of advertising for it. Let's for argument's sake, say $150 million. What's that?
That unfortunately I have.
All of it. So let's say it's $150 million. Okay. So now you're talking about almost $500 million right there.
There's a lot of stars in this movie.
Yeah. So let's say now your cost is $500 million. If you're going 340, let's round that up to 350. And $150 million marketing budget, you're talking $500 million. All right. You need to make 50% above your costs. So
Yeah, about $750.
about $750 million.
Let's do this, baby.
Yeah. So roughly speaking, $750 million would be out. Because remember, if they make $750 million, then the theaters keep about 1/3 of that. And again, I know what I'm hearing. John, I heard theaters keep 50%.
No.
Don't listen to that. I worked with AMC for many years. They've always said, listen, at different times, like the theaters keep a different amount on the opening weekend versus second weekend versus third weekend versus third. But when you really round it out, it's about 1/3. So what is 1/3 of 750? $250 million. What is 750 minus $250 million? $500 million. So if the costs end up being about $500 million, then Fast and Furious, FastX needs to make $750 million.
Yeah.
Just
Which
to break even.
is just above what Fast 9 made.
Which is more than what Fast 9 made.
It has to be a little more, yeah.
So we'll see. Again, I'm not sure I believe that number that to say that it costs $340 million. Maybe it's true. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying I haven't seen any verified information that confirms that. All right, what's next?
John Redcorn writes, when do you think we'll get the first trailer to Kraven? My guess is the week Spider-Verse comes out. R rating and Rhino has me at least curious about it.
Tell you what, they showed us the trailer at CinemaCon, and I liked it a lot. And I was shocked to find out when they announced this is going to be R-rated. Because what did frickin' he say, the star of the film say? He said, what's Kraven going to do? Talk him to death or something like that? And then they showed us the trailer, this brutally violent trailer where he bites out a guy's eyeball and kills a lot of people in many ways, and then just gives you a little glimpse of Rhino at the end. Again, I don't know if this movie's going to be terrible, but the trailer was pretty good. Not the best trailer I've seen this year, but it was a pretty good trailer. So since they've already shown us the trailer, they've got it ready to go. I think Spider-Man is probably a good period of time when they might drop it, but we'll see.
I keep forgetting about that little intro before they showed us the trailer that Aaron Taylor Johnson did. They're like, question is already like, you better effing something like.
You better fucking believe it. What else is Kraven going to do? Talk him to death? Yeah. It's going to be fun. All right, what's next?
All right. John Redcorn writes, if Ali walks away from Blade, if Ali walks away from Blade, do you think that it would be the most embarrassing situation for Marvel Feige? Like, how could you drop the ball on this bad?
No, it wouldn't be. I mean, look, would it be embarrassing? Of course it's embarrassing, but I mean, it wouldn't be the first time in Hollywood history. Because remember, between when they announced this project and now, there was a little thing called a pandemic. And you were already rolling the dice a little bit with an aging star to start off a superhero franchise with. And, you know, part of the reason they went back to the drawing board, according to all the reports, is that Mahershala himself wasn't really happy with the script. And if it just gets to the point that, you know what, we couldn't get everything where we needed it to be in order to get this movie shooting in time before Mahershala Ali's schedule gets in the way, he has to do other things. Listen, I would rather them lose Mahershala Ali than proceed with a movie that they should not be proceeding with.
Yeah.
I'd rather them make sure that they've got the right movie ready to go. And if that means that we run out of time to have Mahershala Ali, that sucks, but the movie comes first.
Man, you got the right guy right now. Let's get it
so here's hoping
already,
they can get it going.
So.
Here's hoping. Then they got the new writer, and then the writer's strike happened. I mean, it's a mess. It's really a mess. But a lot of it isn't. Again, the pandemic wasn't Marvel's fault. The writer's strike isn't Marvel's fault. Some mistakes have been made, absolutely. But so is it embarrassing? Sure. But is it like the biggest embarrassing thing? No, not like Star Wars.
I think we still are feeling.
Always when you get the chance, he's just gonna slide it in there. Slide it in there, buddy.
I think we're still feeling the effects of Chapek and him pulling Feige's power a little bit
100%. 100%.
Yeah, so that's the ramifications.
All right, what's next?
All right, Mr. Godzilla's back. After Guardians 3, what are the chances the Guardians team appears in Avengers 5 and 6?
Decent.
Yeah, I mean, they're still the new team.
You know, listen, just go back and look at Endgame. They put everybody. Hell, at Tony's funeral, the kid from Iron Man 3 appears at the funeral, right? But he was so grown up, nobody knew who the hell he was.
Some people were like, "Who's he?"
Yeah, who's that kid? It was the kid from So considering they just like to just dump everybody who's been in the MCU in these movies, I think the chances are pretty good. Look what Ray's got there.
Look, I keep forgetting. This is my handkerchief now that I carry in my back pocket. It's all round.
I thought that was your pirate flag.
No.
Ray's pirate. All right, what's next?
All right, Disgraceful Entertainment writes, "Hey, John and crew, not a question. Just wanted to say, been a fan since my sophomore year of high school. I'm 26 now."
God, yeah. Again, like hearing from people who've been following us for that long is absolutely crazy. Thank you for being here and still being here with us after all this time, man. Appreciate that. All right, what's next?
All right, David Goldstein is here with a quote. "I'm the justice you can't run from."
I can't remember what that's from.
Sounds
That
like
familiar.
Batman, but
Is it?
sounds like it.
All right, what's next?
You think I wrote the script after all? All right, Disgraceful Entertainment for John and crew. What is your all-time favorite movie? Mine is Blood In, Blood Out. Oh, Vatos Locos Forever.
Blood out.
I'll never get tired of that movie. Vatos Locos Forever.
I mean, come on. Everybody knows what my favorite movie of all time is.
Star Wars.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, The
there's
Martian. Here.
that. Oh, yeah, The Martian is your favorite
Yeah.
one, isn't it? Yeah. What about you, Jonathan?
Casablanca.
Oh, that's a good one. All right, what's next?
All right. Mike Meyer sent FNF started getting ridiculous. Oh, Fast and Furious started getting ridiculous in 4 when they thought we would we would by Gal being attracted to Vin. Or believe that Gal would be attracted to Vin.
I can't even remember. All I remember is that 4 was the first Fast and the Furious movie that I went, that wasn't terrible. I didn't like any of the first 3, but I saw 4. I'm like, okay, you know what? That wasn't all that bad. And then 5, it just completely.
You know what I'm starting to have a problem with? These little patch add-ons that they're doing. And it's not like small add-ons. It's like, oh, Vin Diesel had a brother, John Cena. And now his
really?
mom.
And the guy who's all about family, and we've gone through 8 movies never hearing about her brother.
And then the mom now appears in this next one. Like some people I think are just like, that's enough. You're not treating me like a dumb person anymore.
A dumb.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
All right. Mark Gomans writes, Fast X will do just fine. The franchise is huge abroad. Just check and compare the worldwide numbers in previous installments. Well, still has to do better than Fast 9.
But remember, Fast 9 opened to $70 million, which is $10 million more they're projecting for this one. And it only managed $700 and something million. Now, again, there's a lot of movies that would kill to have that result. That would be gangbusters huge. But if this movie, and again, it's a big if this movie did cost $350 million and it had a $150 million marketing budget, they're not even guaranteed to break even if they make $700 and something million. Right? So will it do just fine? We'll find out.
What could that do to the next one? What are the ramifications of it failing?
It doesn't, then the next one doesn't happen.
You're saying it doesn't happen at all.
Let's put it this way. The box office took a dip from 7 to 8, took another dip from 8 to 9. And if it takes another dip from 9 to X, they may just pull the plug. I mean, it depends. If they roughly break even, they'll still do the final one. But if they lose $150 million on this, it is not inconceivable that they just scrap the next Fast and Furious movie. I mean, I'm not saying they will. I'm just saying it's not inconceivable that they would. All right, what's next?
All right, here's our final one. Disgraceful Entertainment writes, you were our last one yesterday, too. I hated F9, but just like my love for wrestling through the good times and the horrible times, I'll watch the Fast and Furious movies through the good times and the Fast 9 times.
And the Fast 9 times. You know what? It's like being a Toronto Maple Leaf fan. They always suck, but I'll keep being there cheering for them. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Hey, this year they won a playoff series.
Hey, that guy's a true fan of what he loves. Everyone is a true fan of something they love. So
yeah, you know what? That is perfect fandom attitude. Like, you know what? I'm a big fan of Fast and Furious, but yes, as a fan, I can be a fan and yet say I thought the last movie was terrible, right? Say I am a massive Star Wars fan, but I thought the Rise of Skywalker was garbage. I don't like the prequels, right? That being a fan, too many people think being a fan means you put on a blindfold and just say, I love everything about this thing that I'm a fan of. Sports fans know that's not true. Sports fans will bleed their team's colors, right? Like Boston Red Sox fans, right? They will bleed team colors, but they will be the first people to tell you, oh, here's where our team sucks. Our team sucks here, our team sucks here, and our team sucks here. And they'll be vocal about it, whatever, but do not question the passionate love they have for it. And it's okay to be cheering at the same time while also saying, oh, yeah, we dropped the ball on that one. And yeah, you can be both.
You don't know how painful it was wearing that Bengal shirt the next day after the Super Bowl.
But they got to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but I wore it still because through the highs and the lows, we're going to always be there.
Yep. You know what? I'm going to tell you right now, they're going to be in the Super Bowl again this year. I think they've only gotten better. I think they are going to be scary good. This
class, though, is pretty hot, though.
And Joe is just getting better.
Yeah.
He's still really freaking young, man. He's just going to get better and better and better.
And keep him up.
All right, guys. That'll do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for being here and joining us for this little live stream. By the way, big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those tip questions and the super chats. Number one, because you gave us great fun things to talk about. But number two, you supported this channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the shows. Thank you guys so much for your support. Guys, once again, don't forget to go over and subscribe to our podcast feeds, either on Apple, Spotify, whatever your favorite podcasting app of choice is. Just go search for the John Campea Show podcast, subscribe to it there. Make sure you subscribe to this YouTube channel if you haven't already, and we will see you again for the next programming day around here on the John Campea YouTube channel. So for Ray Ora, Jonathan Voico, my name's John Campea, and until next time, my friends, bye-bye.